Now.
Alrighty.
That's so easy.
How good
Just
is
click of a button. Nothing wrong happened as well when we started this, did it? No, nothing at all. Nothing in the background. Nothing in the background.
Totally smooth transition.
Smooth transition.
Just click of a button.
I was a little bit stressed.
No,
I wasn't showing it, but I was a little bit. Can I figure this out? Can I figure this out?
You were sweaty, mate, so you were fine.
Welcome in,
Oh.
my old school friends, my mentor,
Thank you.
my little sis, Rihanna Rose, Kenny Dowall, Johnny Dowall.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you guys both in here. Nice surprise to have Rihanna, little sis, coming in. We still remember the handshake.
Still remember it.
She did a little sneaky number this morning and thought, I'm coming with you, Dad. So
Did she?
That's
Yeah.
why she's here.
I didn't expect to actually be on the podcast.
Yeah, come in. Why not? I'll get you to bring the microphone just a little bit up towards you, if that's all right.
Is that all right there now?
Maybe a little bit up here.
Up here.
Do you want me to figure it out?
No.
That's all right. This is what we love podcasting for, because it shows the rawity.
How good
Is that a word?
I don't think so.
I think I just made that up, didn't I?
How's that?
There we go. I had to bring him on.
Good to be here, Liam.
I had to bring your dad on.
Yeah.
Only because, I don't know, it's been, how long have I known you for? Since I was 15?
Yeah, well, since as long as I've been here, 14 years.
First stepped off a plane.
Yeah. Saw you about 3 days later.
Yeah.
Yeah, up at the Crocs training one night. And,
That's it. And can I just add, when you guys stepped off a plane, it was like a thing from the movies, because we were like the underdogs always, these skinny little scrawny fellas. And then we see like Underloo, Shawnee, Troy, okay, Underloo.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. So saw you guys step off the plane, and we're like, "Oh, thank God, we've got like some enforcers." And didn't let us go down, mate. We came fourth that season. I think we were on the bottom.
No, well, those boys had come from a really tough competition back home, and so they were playing tough rugby league week in and week out at that point, and we'd been together for a team for about 3 years, by the way, and so we travelled all over the country together, so we were pretty tight. So coming over here was the next step for them, in their rugby league progression.
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Yeah,
and we arrived at the airport. Actually, we didn't have anywhere to go. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know where we were. We had $1,000 in our pocket. That was it.
Wow.
And the only thing we had was a dream.
Yeah.
And so when they say, I laugh when they say, Sean, that's the backpacker. Well, in actual fact, he didn't have a backpack on his back, but we were living in the backpackers at that point because we had no jobs, we didn't know anybody. So that's part and parcel of the excitement of trying to find out what a dream is all about.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I've learned a lot from you guys ever since I've been a young kid. Just hanging around. Just I think it's more about the resilience and the hard work that you guys have always shown that brought over. Yeah, I remember going down to Coogee Park when we were like 16 and just making us run the whole time. The oval. Made us do like this stupid pyramid thing, the 400 metre up and back. And then we did have to do a 300 metre up and back, 200 metre. I still remember that.
Yeah.
I remember vomiting afterwards. It was like 9 o'clock at night and you're making us do this shit. I'm like in the back of my head, like, fuck, let me go home, mate. Let me go home.
Did he punish you with the Coogee stairs as well?
Yeah, I think he's done Coogee stairs. He's done all sorts of stuff to me. It just all blends into one session.
I'm still punishing people there. It's not, like my coaching. I don't intend to do anymore. I've sort of moved on a little bit from it, to be honest, Liam.
Yeah.
So, but still taking away all the wonderful experiences and the people that I've met from it. I found out a lot about myself too, by the way. Coaching style that I had back in New Zealand, the coaching style I had here were two totally different elements. And so, I learned so much about who I am, and the people I was dealing with, people like yourself, I've gone, I guess the most pleasurable thing I found about coaching here in Australia was how knowledgeable all the players were. They were schooled from a very young age, and they're very knowledgeable about technique, about their place in the game and how they wanted to portray that. And I really only ever looked at myself as a facilitator, to try and give them a little bit of toughness to add to what they already had.
Yeah.
And most importantly, to continue to keep enjoying ourselves, which I think we did.
Yeah, exactly right.
We had a good time, didn't we?
Always. Never a dull moment, especially in the Coogee house.
No, not at all.
Few good parties going through there.
It was on me.
You were too young as well.
I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
I remember there was times when I was like 19 and I'm like, I was down Coogee and I'm like, I'm going back. I'm going up to Johnny's. I'm going to see Johnny. I'm going to see everyone up there.
It was a great, it was a great time for us. We obviously still had our thought process on the goal, but we certainly at that point knew how to socialise as well. So it was a big part of it.
Yes, and the biggest thing is that I've got to share this story. You gave me a job as a what glazier, is that the right terminology? So I went and did this with your dad. I remember where we were standing as well. I don't know how good I was as a glazier. I didn't drop any glass.
No, you didn't.
So that's a positive. That's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember this. I remember you were standing at the edge of the driveway, and then it was in our lunch break or something like that, and then you just went out and you recited the whole of Shawnee's career in advance. I remember you saying this. You just said, like, he's going to be the world's best. I can't remember if it was exactly centre or winger. And you're like, he's going to play for his country. He's going to be playing first grade in the next couple of years. He's going to win a premiership. And in the back of my mind, I'm going to have to say this. I'm like, he's talking absolute shit. I'm like, God, how the fuck is he doing this? But I kept it in my mind thinking, okay, I want to see if this comes true. Everything came true.
Yeah.
Everything came true. I said this to so many people as it's coming into fruition. I said, watch, Johnny's told me already before he's made first grade, he's going to be the best in the world. He's going to play for his country. He won the World Cup. Didn't he win the World Cup?
No, he didn't got to play the World Cup.
I didn't play World Cup.
No, he got a bad injury just prior to it.
Oh, really?
And, that was I think
2013.
2013 after they won the grand final. He had broken his jaw. So,
yeah.
it was World Cup year, and he never got the opportunity to do that. So,
well, he traded in a World Cup for a world record.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Helped me there.
Yeah. I was
Helped
there.
us out. You were there.
I still got my jumper.
Yeah.
I'm a world record holder.
That's
mate,
it. 100%. I'm not a world record. Everyone's a world record holder who was at the event. But that's what I loved about your family as well. Like, I know I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but those things that you always said in a positive way, things that were going to happen, they did. And now I start to, not now, I've trusted you from the beginning anyway, just thinking in the back of my mind back then that it was more of a father, just thinking that he's going to be, a wishful father, but it's just actually come true, and it's just like, this is ridiculous. But it's always seen in a positive way. It's like, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And in my mind, I've always been like I don't know if this is going to happen or not, And then he's like, and Johnny's just like, nah, this is it. And it's just good to see.
Yeah.
Do you reckon has this always been set up like that? Or do you just feel it and then you just translate it into the...
I've tried really hard not to be a parent who, lives their dreams through their children. That's massive for me. Because I've seen it, I've seen it time and time again, like I've seen, the parents verbalising, so-and-so's, my son's not like this, he's got chosen ahead of so-and-so, it's just, they're so desperate to have their own children in the spotlight that, they say and they verbalise these things that, that they weren't able to do themselves. And so I was always very mindful not to verbalise that in that way. But, the real journey began when he first started playing. And then that was he started playing when he was 4 years of age, but it was in the Auckland area. And so 1 week you're playing the Samoans, next week you're playing the Tongans, next week you're playing the Niueans, and next week you're playing the Mongrel Mob, and next minute you're playing the Black Power. There was never ever any release, of any easy games. There were no easy games in Auckland at all. And so he's come through an environment where with the grassroots of the game was so incredibly strong, and the Polynesian influence on that game, and you had to be at the top of your game to survive. And so, the foundation of what I verbalised to you that day had already taken place, way back into when he was a young boy, and more importantly into his teens. Because this is the thing, I was never going to come to Australia if he still wasn't playing good rugby league in his teens. Because a lot of his mates had become gang members by that stage. They were involved in drugs and alcohol, and I didn't want Sean to become involved in that back home. Because I saw what I saw in him. I saw this incredible talent that it's not something that just happens. That so many other different things took place then to give me the synchronization thought process that this was worth having a go at. And to be honest with you, Liam, I probably would have done it anyway. Because in giving it a go, you never end up with any regrets.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sit back, and I'm like that now. I don't want to sit back when I'm 70, 80 years of age going, why didn't I do that? Or why didn't I do this? Or, I'm a believer of following my dreams. I'm a believer of, of making those become a reality, not verbalising them, actually, getting on board and actually making those things become a reality. There's a big difference between the two,
Yeah.
And so for me, I've always said to Sean, never verbalise anything. Keep your mouth shut, and let your actions do the talking.
Yeah.
Loose lips
sink shit. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Loose lips
Did you
sink
just
shit.
say loose lips sink shits?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You're so patient with him.
Sorry.
That's what I would have forever.
I never trust you, Liam. If we were on radio, she wouldn't be patient with me, mate.
But then the thing is that it's not just Shawnee's career though. It's both. It's all the family. Like Rihanna's been successful with her. Like seeing you sing that first time. That's ridiculous. I don't know why you don't sing more. That loose lips sink ships is bullshit in your eyes. You need to be starting to singing more. Yeah, it's just talent, and it's I think success seems to follow that you guys, and I don't know if it's a formula. Like was it javelin that you won gold?
Yeah.
In the Paralympic Games in 2000.
That whole thing came about purely by accident actually, because I was playing rugby in Auckland at the time. And back then you could ruck. There was no lift wing in the line outs. It was a brutal game that I really enjoyed playing it. But the big part about how that came about was that because I was a loose forward, so I had incredible jumping skills. So this guy came up to the game and said, you should give athletics a go, mate. You do quite well at it. And I thought, I never really thought about it. And so I sort of kind of let it go. And then 3 or 4 months later, he rang again and said, why don't you come down and have a go? And then, that's where it all started. I went and had a go, and suddenly everything just seemed to work out. I was good at it right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so that was in 1992. And then I made my first New Zealand representative team in 94. And ended up in Beijing in the middle of nowhere, actually, in this 40-degree climate, wondering what the heck I was up to.
Mm-hmm.
So, it took sort of quite a long time, I've travelled the world. I didn't realise how hard it was going to be honest with you, Liam.
Doing javelin?
Well, I was a decathlete, actually, so I was...
Decathlete?
Yeah, so...
What does that mean?
Well, I was doing a multi-eventer, so, I was a runner, I was a jumper, I was a thrower. And so, I was doing all those particular events. And once you sort of get up into the international level, you've got to make a choice about, what events suits you and the ultimate goal is to win. It's always been to win. I was never happy about coming second ever in my life. And I think that's, a lot of people go, it's okay, you just scored yourself a silver medal, but second might as well be last to me. I'd done so much hard work leading up to that point that winning was the only alternative. There wasn't anything else to me. You know, second, I might as well have ended up 20th. You know, it didn't mean anything to me. So, you know, it began a journey of, you know, and I had some incredible opportunities to travel the world. But once I got over to Europe and that, and I'm just a 27-year-old from New Zealand living rurally. No one knows who I am, and suddenly I'm in the, you know, I'm in the middle of in Germany, you know, in a packed house, about to compete in front of 65,000 people.
Wow.
You know, like I was kicking back, going, "Wow," you know, like I was like blown away by it because they all knew who I was, by the way, and that's one thing that really blew me away. The Germans knew everything about me.
Wow.
And I went through the airport that day and thought, wow, it sort of really blew me away. But it was a good thing I didn't understand German, so, you know, like, after me, I was sort of like, you know, just went back into my normal routine. But I learned a lot out of that day because you know, they were booing me as I walked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was up against you know, one of the #1 German athletes who was #1 ranked in the world at that point. And you know, I beat him quite convincingly in front of his home crowd. So, you know, I took a lot of encouragement out of that, eh? But the Germans and the Europeans in general, they're very, very, very strong on their athletics.
Yeah.
And this is a big, big sport over there. And so, you know, I learned a lot out of it, but realised the enormity of the task that I was facing because I, you know, was back in New Zealand, you know, just training really hard, you know, and training a lot harder than everybody else. And so, you know, that sort of set me up for you know, for the gold in 2000.
Yeah.
But, you know, I went to the 96 Atlanta Games as well.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that one.
Yeah, and I think I was probably in better shape in 1996 than what I was in 2000. But I didn't win a medal in 1996, and I can still remember how disappointed I was then. You know, because I trained so hard for it, and that really spurred me on for 2000. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I had suffered a really bad shoulder injury in 1999 as well.
Oh, really?
And you know, I was the #1 ranked javelin thrower in the world at that point, and then number 3 in New Zealand for everybody. So you know, it wasn't a fluke, but I was running 100 metres. My leg came off, and I penciled into the ground, and you know, tore my shoulder. Went to 3 specialists, and they all said the same thing. Oh, sorry, mate, you need a full shoulder reconstruction. But, you know, 9 months out of the games, you know, from 2000, that just wasn't an option for me. And so I refused to have the surgery and went to went back into holistic healing to get it done. And luckily enough, I'm walking down the street one day, and one of my mates who was was an acupuncturist trained in China. I saw him, and he said, "Oh, come see me, I'll fix you up." And he had me back throwing again within 3.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and so so the day that I actually threw in Sydney in front of 75,000 people at the Olympic Stadium was only the 3rd time I'd thrown that year.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so scared of popping my shoulder out again.
Yeah.
That you know, I chose not to. The second time I had to throw in the A standard qualifying thing again, and even then, you know, they rolled out to see whether my shoulder was going to pop out or not, and so, you know, but long story short, no, on that night I had no pain, I had no discomfort, I had no memory, and so I didn't remember a thing.
And you won.
Won. Yeah, so you know, by the time I got down to the last throw, I was standing on the runway thinking to myself, wow, I just won.
Yeah, wow.
You know, I was expecting this incredible euphoria to come over me, but you know what, I sat there just looking at it going, wow, that was a whole lot of hard work just to get that. Yeah,
exactly right, for that one moment.
Just for that one moment,
yeah. But it's funny that, though, because that's what I was going to chat to you guys about as well. When I think I was so focused on my fitness back at the footy days. You know me, I was always always fitness, and I felt so close to the footy atmosphere that I just was missing the point of the whole journey of playing football. Like I was so close. Like, I've got to try and get to the best of my ability. And then after flag, I think I played like three 3 games of flag or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was distraught because I thought that was, I worked so hard for this, just for those 3 games. And then I got injured. I had a year where I broke my collarbone. I don't know if you guys knew this at all.
Oh, yeah. I read your book, by the way. Yeah.
You read my book?
Yeah.
I've got to get some more books out there.
Yeah, I read your book.
Yeah, the humble hero. So, mate, you're the humble hero, not me. I'm the one facilitating the people that are in my life that help me see success. That's how I saw it.
I remember that. I remember those periods. When I was coaching. We were going into big games. We would discuss that, wouldn't we? We discussed, because your nerves always get the better of you.
Always.
And
always.
you'd be in the toilet vomiting out.
Always.
And I used to remember I used to say to you, oh, mate, what? Why don't you just embrace this and just go about your normal stuff and just enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
It was a hard thing to do, wasn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it was so hard, and that's probably the thing that's what I want to share with people out there that are trying to chase that career or footy dream or whatever it is. Enjoy the process, because I didn't enjoy the whole thing. And when I got injured, I spent a year off the park, and I came back and I went and played for Sydney University.
Yeah,
it was like second grade.
I remember. Yeah,
and then this Jim Pisanius guy, he was a coach. He coached me, and he goes, "Why don't you go into the Italians?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, fuck, why not? I'm enjoying my footy." And it was like the Italian locals in Australia.
Yeah.
And then we got to play that, got a taste of a little bit of rep footy. It wasn't the proper Italian team, but then I was in the mix with it. And then a year later, I was like, I've got to get back. I've got to give an international game a go.
Yeah, definitely.
And then in 2010, what happened? 2010, I went traveling around Europe and I quit footy. And this is all in the back of just enjoying myself, like not being nervous anymore. And I got an email from the coach saying, let's go, we're going to get the Italian team together. We're going to Wales. We're having a full test match. It's an actual cap. And I'm like, I'm in Italy right now. And he goes, you have to go to the north of Italy and play in the local leagues and play for the residents. I didn't know how to speak Italian. I was the only one who spoke Italian. I'm like, fuck. I was the only one who didn't speak Italian, sorry. And I was like, I'm just going to go. Why not? Let's see what happens. Yeah. That sort of mindset. Yeah. And it's different. It's funny how the difference of the mindset translated into success.
Into performance, yeah.
Into performance. Yeah. The enjoyment and the nervousness was gone. Like I was playing in maybe 5,000-10,000 people. It's not a huge arena, but it was in front of a packed Welsh crowd.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, how cool is this? I'm playing for a country. And they're picking on me on the sideline. Redhead. You're a redhead coming off the bench. There's no redhead Italians. And I'm like, I was just eating it all up. I just thought that was amazing. But from that moment, I learned that valuable life lesson that you got to enjoy the process. Exactly. And that injury, sort of like what you said with your shoulder injury, that shoulder injury, you didn't throw that many javelins, but then you end up winning gold because you're maybe not as close to it. Does that make sense?
No, well, it's true. But no, on that particular day, I can remember it very, very clearly, because it's a lifelong, treasured memory of mine. And as an individual athlete, when you're not in a team environment, there's the challenge, and that is that one day you might feel like shit, but you perform incredibly well. One day you might feel incredibly great, and then perform poorly. But on that particular night, I remember it. I was lying in the Olympic Village, and my window was wide open, and I could hear the pulse of the stadium coming into my room. And I was about 45 minutes out from leaving the village to go over to check in, and I could hear the crowd building, and I was sitting in my room going, this calm just came over me. I don't know what it was, like this flooding energy just came straight over the top of me, and it made me, the thought process was, enjoy this, enjoy this. This is gonna be magic, enjoy this. And I remember, my coach knocked on my door. She and I went down and we walked to the stadium. By the way, we didn't give me transport. We walked into the warm up track, and she was a terrified bundle of nerves. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, don't worry about it, Deb." I said, "Go and sit down and go, just enjoy it," because she was making me nervous. This is very rare for her.
Yeah.
Because she was a world record hammer thrower too, by the way. So she'd been where I was, And so, I said to go. I said, "I'll do my own warm up." I said, "Just go." And just at that at that moment, I realised, that this calm came over me, and I don't really remember a heck of a lot after that.
Yeah.
I went to the core room, I checked in, and from that moment on, I just switched straight off, and just went into the second time in my athletic career where I've been in this zone. That everybody talks about the zone, but I've been in that zone twice, and my recollection and memory of it is very, very, very slim.
Yeah.
And so when I actually watched my performance that night, I didn't recognise the person that I was watching. And I've only ever watched it once.
Really?
Yeah, and I saw this aggressive human being coming down the runway, and I went, "Whoa, that was not me typically in that environment."
Yeah.
But, there was just something about it, and I think, that's the secret, is to be able to put all your fears to one side. Embrace the situation that you put yourself in, and just give it everything you got and enjoy it. I think that was probably one of the main lessons that I could have taught you more than anything else. Just to kick back and enjoy it.
And it did. I think I did learn that lesson, but it was only. I'm just a dumb man sometimes because I learned it 2 years later after you told me. She was like, should have just listened to him at the time. But then that's how it sort of worked out, and it always works out how it should. I think
it does. I think that your preparation has got a lot to do with it. For me, it was really always about pushing the boundaries in my training. I can remember one distinct moment when actually it was Sean that actually came to me to a weight session that I had back in New Zealand, and it was a failed session, by the way, so it was testing, and it was severe, it was really, really bad, and it was that bad that, once the end of it, I couldn't actually physically get my car keys out of my pocket because my arms were that fully blown.
Yeah.
and he was a young boy then, and he just started crying and going, "Why do you do this to yourself?" Well, this is what it takes if you want to be successful, mate. And so I ended up having to go back into the gym again for 40 minutes because the lactic acid in my arms was so severe I couldn't even drive a car.
Yeah.
And had to go to have a protein shake and actually, really recover, and that's always sort of kind of stuck with me, those were the levels that I was pushing at that point, and I learned so much about myself out of that,
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful that I know now it did, it transferred over to him, and a lot of other areas of his training as well, because he's a tough bugger in the mind,
he's tough.
And any success at any sport, that's where the game's won and lost. You've got to have it in the mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might as well just go and play social.
Exactly right.
Don't push yourself outside the limit because you're just wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You need to surround yourself with people like that. Like me hanging around with those guys toughen me up straight away.
Yeah.
The people that you hang around with it makes up who you become, really.
Well, if you're hanging out with people that are going in the opposite direction, you can't expect to have success.
Yeah.
Not if you want to be successful in that chosen whatever sport is that you want.
Yeah.
And really, for me, right now, that's a big lesson I'm learning too.
Yeah.
Is that I am a certain way right now. I'm nowhere near the way I used to be, and so now I'm finding myself, attracting more like-minded people like myself, and that's what keeps your vibration high. That's what keeps you happy.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And what about yourself, little sis?
What about me?
What about what's going on with your singing? When are we going to get you singing again? Are you singing? No. Come on.
Just casually.
Casually?
That's all it was ever about.
Oh, really? She's got so much amazing talent. I don't say that as lighthearted. I've just heard your voice. It's like she should be doing this all the time. It's not something that you want to do, though?
I mean, to a certain extent, but it was always enough for me to do it with my family and my friends.
Yeah.
It was more meaningful to me than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's much. Is it I hate to be generalised, but is it a Kiwi thing? Because it seems to be like know how to sing.
It might
Is
be.
it Ireland a thing?
No,
Like,
I think
is it?
it's. I think in every different culture, I think when for us, we get brought up singing our traditional songs, and no one really bats an eyelid, when you've got 40, 50 people singing the same sort of, we call them waitas at home, which are traditional folk songs.
Yeah.
And so I think that when from a young age it helps us to break down some barriers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's at, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was always just a thing. You're always surrounded by it when you're young.
Yeah.
Your family constantly surrounded by, and we've got a pretty large family, and all the uncles get their guitars out, and everybody's just it was just part of it all. I'm sure you saw a couple of them at the Coogee house that you were talking about.
Yeah. Right, the uncles.
Just
singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always. It seemed to be around, I don't know if it was a Kiwi thing or if it was like I don't know.
Well, it is. It's, that is very common back home, to pull a guitar out and start having a jam and everybody's singing.
I'd almost say it's part of our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a cultural thing.
Yeah, kind of.
And I still do that now, don't I?
Yeah.
I still love, I love playing the guitar, I love playing the drums, but
yeah.
I just love music. I think that's where it's at. To me, it's just about music, Liam. It's a universal language that is out to many, many people. So, to me, it just makes me feel great.
Yeah.
And puts me in a good frame of mind, and I use it if I'm down too. If I feel a bit down one day and I put some reggae or something on, suddenly my spirit's just gone boom. I'm off.
Yeah.
So that's how I use it.
Yeah, definitely. And you're talking about the zone. You're saying the zone before.
Yes.
How, you have those rare moments of being in the zone. Like you said, it was like once or 2, 3 times.
When I was competing, yeah.
What do you think? Okay, bit deep. We don't have to go too deep.
Yeah,
but
that's all right.
The difference between the zone and just having the ultimate spiritual experience, is it one and the same, do you think? Or do you reckon it's, the zone seems to be like a man-made thing where...
That's a good question.
Reaching that...
One and the same. Do you know what?
It's like a destined, like a spirituality would be more destined. So it's like, I own this shit. But it's the same thing as being in the zone. It's like, I own this shit. That's the same feeling, isn't it?
I'm in the process of creating a meditation environment for myself at home because, I've realised that, meditation is the only way that you can consistently go into that space.
Yeah.
And so I read a beautiful blog by an American guy just a few weeks ago that stated very clearly that, in order for us to pull ourselves away from our everyday existence and stop the noise, rattle and hum of what's going on in everyday society, which, let's admit, it's not that pleasant. There's a lot of terrible things happening in our world right now. And so the amount or the ability to be able to pull yourself away from those from that rattle, I don't mean to call it a rattle, and actually concentrate on going back in within yourself, to get centered and to get peace, is a massive precursor to your own development. And so over the last 7 or 8 months, I've gone about that process of understanding what meditation is, understanding how to center myself, and most importantly, I'm about to create a space where that can become every part of my everyday reality. And once I do that, I tell you what, there's nothing that comes across my plate that I cannot handle. Yeah. And I think that there's the secret right there. That's the answer. So the answer to the question is, yes, the zone when you're an athlete, I believe is created through hard work and mental attitude. The zone spiritually is created as a direct result of your commitment to further advancing your soul.
Yeah, exactly right.
And I believe that your soul has got a lot to answer to you for if you are prepared to put the time and energy into it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because the moment that I realised that there was a lot more to this world than what we know was when in 1990 actually I was I was only a 25-year-old man. But long story short, I experienced my brother's death from 200 miles away.
You told me this story. Share this story. This is creepy.
Yeah, and I was sitting at the breakfast table with my kids, and then suddenly this energy just came over the top of me, and it was a really confused. It was like hearing the worst news you've ever heard in your life, right? But multiplied by 10.
Wow.
And I instantaneously knew that someone I knew was in serious trouble, and it lasted for about 20-25 minutes, and then after that, I turned around, to my then wife, and said, "Something's going on." I said, "No, I don't know what it is. No, I can't explain it. I don't know what's going on here, but I could feel that someone that I knew was in massive trouble." And after about 25 minutes, it started to subside, but then it got replaced by this incredible, tranquil, loving feeling that just washed over me. And I didn't know what was going on. I was so confused. And then I went outside, and I actually had to lay down on the back lawn and actually clear my mind. But this beautiful, warm glow was still with me, And it took a good hour for it just to disappear, And back then we didn't have cell phones; we only had landlines, and so I was none the wiser about what was going on. But didn't get home until 5:30 that night, and then my phone rang, and it was my mother-in-law telling me that my brother was missing, and that earlier that day he'd been washed off the rocks fishing.
Wow.
And so and then I drove back down to 200 kilometres south because we had a mate with him. And realised that it was exactly the same time that I was sitting at the breakfast table having breakfast with my kids, which was 8:10 in the morning, and I realised that I just experienced my brother's death, and so I realised that there was something far greater out there than than what we're told. But at the end of the day, everybody has a thought belief system about that. But the only belief system I have is the one that I've created for myself.
Yeah.
And so and that is that you'll never truly know what's out there unless you go and discover it.
Exactly right.
You only get out of it what you put into it. So I'm leaning more towards that at the moment.
Yeah. I we've had many chats on the phone. I call you up randomly for a 5-minute conversation. I end up being on the phone with him for about an hour and 20 minutes. Talking life, and goes really deep, really fast. But I've taken many lessons from our conversations. I've started to become a little bit more going down that path as well. Cool. Like just seeing. I look at it from a different, same point of view that some form of spirituality or God or whatever it may be is all it strives to do is creation. That's what we're put on this. That's what the universe is just here to create. It's constantly creating. Yeah. So with the distractions, and that's where meditation comes in. What you were saying before. That distracts us from our ultimate point of creation at all times, and that's how I see it. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's how we're all distracted from everything or the busyness of life. That I'll use an example of writing the book, The Humble Hero. Right? I'm sitting up in Yamba, and I've always thought to myself, I'll just be good to write a book, only because I want to prove it was an ego thing. I want to prove to my school teachers who told me I was shit at English, that I can write a fucking book. Excuse my swearing. But then that's how it came across, because that's like the distractions of the mind. But I never did it because it was always from an ego point. But then when I started sitting down, I started meditating. Yeah. I forgot about the book, and I started meditating. And this thing came to me and said, "Just start writing a book." Yeah. And I just started writing, and I wrote The Humble Hero. I didn't even know what I was writing about. Just started writing about. I hired a book coach, and I started writing about the stories in the past, like me catching up with Shawnee for breakfast. I just wrote that down, and then I came up with this conclusion that I always seem to be having people in my life that always taught me life lessons. That I didn't get it from a book; I got it from the people that I appreciate. We just came up with this humble hero, and it just seems to be that once I started meditating and I cleared the distractions out of my mind, that's when the ultimate form of creation could come in, or spirituality,
Yes.
God, whatever it is. I don't know if we're going too deep for saying that.
No.
The ultimate point of creativity, and it came from not an ego standpoint, just came from wherever it came from. And I wrote a book in 30 days.
Yeah.
How the fuck do I write a book in 30 days when I was shit at English?
Did you find that meditation was a big help for that?
100%.
Yeah.
I had a daily agreement with myself,
Yeah.
right? My daily agreement was get up in the morning, because how it started was like, I was in Yamba, and Emily's, my partner, is a paramedic. So I went up there to support her on her journey, and then I had a semi-retirement year as well, working 8 hours a week in a gym. But then I went to work as a roofer with my brother, and a day of roofing, I almost got my finger amputated. It's not designed for like construction.
It wasn't meant to do glasswork, bro.
It wasn't meant to be for glasswork, plumbing, building, you know. I went working with Quacky just as a side thing, and worked with Quacky for a month, and they started calling me Roundy. It's like putting a round peg in a square hole. That's what with me in the construction industry was like. So come to the conclusion I'm not designed for that, because I almost got my finger chopped off doing it within 3 hours. So I couldn't train anyone when I was up in Yamba. I was sitting down all the time, and all I could do was just type. But I thought, like, you know, I'll just start meditating just to clear my mind, just 20 minutes. It's the first thing I'll do. I'll just get up in the morning, clear my mind, clear myself of the distractions, and just start, after that 20 minutes, I'll just start thinking about, you know, going back to the chapter of Shawnee, because Shawnee wrote the foreword of the book, and then and there was a chapter in there about how we caught up for breakfast. He didn't know this one time, but he would always make time out. This is what I love about your family as well. You always show that support. Like, I'll just send Shawnee a text randomly, do you want to go for breakfast? He goes, yeah, I'm in. And meet me down Bondi. I'm like, what are you up to this, you know, what are you up to lately? And it's sort of like what you're saying. It must be rubbing off for what you do onto him. He's like, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing meditation, I'm practicing with a Buddhist monk. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm doing like bicep curls in the gym, and you're doing like meditation and shit. So this is like all these stories are going through my head, and then like it cleared the mind. I'm like, write a chapter about Shawnee. Write a chapter about that breakfast meeting, and then I called the chapter "The Art of Reinvention." Like, you consistently reinventing yourself. Where that doesn't come from anywhere. I don't know where that comes from, you know. But the meditation 100% helped me in writing the chapters. Like, I wrote one on commando strength. I wrote one on. I went and did this workshop, this self-development workshop, and they taught me. They said to me that you got to do an act of kindness without people knowing, because if you do an act of kindness with people knowing, you're doing it for your own ego.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I'm like, okay, all right, let me do this then. I'll see if I can do this. So I put $10 in a vending machine, and what happened was I was at TAFE and I was doing an exam, and I was having a shit morning. I don't know what, I'm stressing out about an exam for a marketing diploma. I'm sitting there studying, and I'm like, okay, let's do this act of kindness now. So I went in around, and I'm being hypocritical of the story, but I've got to share the story so then people can understand, because I saw this firsthand. Went to this vending machine, I put $10, like my last $10. Talk about poor. I was like, have $10, wasn't getting paid for another few days. I'm like, I'm just giving the last $10 away. I give myself a coffee, $10. $3 to me, $10 to the universe. And I sit down and start studying, I'm stressing out, and these two girls walk into the cafeteria like, oh my God, life's shit, I don't have any money, blah, 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 I can't eat today at TAFE, they're only 18 years old. They walk outside to the girls' toilet where the vending machine was, come back in, like, one of the girls said to the other girl, never going to believe this. And the other girl goes, what? What happened? She goes, I found $10 in the vending machine. Wow. My day just changed. And I'm sitting there going, far out, how cool. It works. Like, you're not meant to see that it works. The whole point of it is to do an act of kindness and not to see it. Pay for someone else's coffee and walk away without the ego. But then I got to see it firsthand. I'm like, fuck, I've got to share this as a story. And I call that chapter monk mentality. You know, the act of giving without wanting to receive in return.
Yeah.
It came after meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Came after 20 minutes of just that stupid meditation. I didn't want to do it the whole time. Like, fuck this meditation. The Buddhist monks don't know shit. I'm sitting there like my eyes closed humming, and I'm like, I feel like an idiot. But then when you get down to that, like, after 10 minutes, I don't know if you feel the same, it's like about 10, 12 minutes for me. All that shit's coming out. Like, stop doing this. You don't need to do this meditation. This is crap. This is like all that, all these thoughts. And then out of nowhere, the last 8 to 10 minutes, I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
I'm just like there.
Exactly. You know what? That's one thing. Sorry, no.
You go.
You go.
And just to elaborate on, I think meditation is critically important. Whatever you associate success with, I find meditation has been a big part of that, not only for me but for Dad and pretty much everybody that I know. And I started meditation probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I haven't done it consistently, but when I first decided that I wanted to be a successful businesswoman, I did a lot of research into, because I hadn't come from, a successful business background. It was something that I fell into, fortunately enough. And I did my research, and I went to a lot of conferences, a lot of seminars, and did my research on your successful business people, men and women. And I'm talking about your Wall Streets. I'm talking about, one woman that stands out for me owns a really successful restaurant in Surrey Hills. And I watched her at a conference probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And it's when it clicked for me. The one consistent factor throughout every single one of those successful business people's lives was meditation.
Wow.
And that stood out to me, and kind of ever since that clicked, which was about two years ago, I've done it consistently. And going back to what Dad said about the rattle, clearing the rattle, is what's kept me grounded throughout everything. Meditation, I've tried to infiltrate it into everybody's lives that I come across, because I think it's such a powerful tool into whatever you consider success is.
Yeah. And so what are you doing? I didn't know that you were a business. See, this is actually how humble and quiet she is. A businesswoman. What is going on here?
Oh, I've been in real estate.
Okay.
Yeah. I've just finished up at a role in Newcastle, actually.
Yeah.
As a GM for a real estate franchise.
Yeah, all right.
And now I'm just back in Sydney, and you said before you were enjoying the process. And it's been a massive change for me, because I've been with the same company my whole professional career.
Yeah.
And because I've never really been sporty, and so although I loved singing,
She's lying. She's a black belt in Taekwondo, bro.
Is she really?
Say that
She
to
didn't say that to
everyone.
everyone.
I could give you and I a bloody good kicking.
I know. That's why I've always been scared of her. Even when she was like 10 years old, she'll kick my ass.
Yeah, she kicks mine too.
Anyway.
Sorry, darling. Yeah, continue.
As much as I loved singing, I knew, coming from where we came from, which was a poor, lower class community. Also, to elaborate on that, although we didn't have much, almost everybody we knew was happy, And so just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
But for me, it was really important to have a backbone, and singing for me was more of a wishbone than anything.
Okay.
And so I found it really important to find my niche.
Yeah.
And business was it. And so it's been an interesting change, because I was living with Sean in Newcastle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he got me into yoga, actually.
Did he?
And the type of yoga that we do really changed my perception on fitness. Also something that I'm changing at the moment, and enjoying the process. And the whole, experience, and kind of entering Sean's world and even his process at the moment is a real spiritual journey. And meditation is a massive part of it. The yoga that we do at Yoga Loft in Newcastle is called Yin Yoga.
Yin yoga.
And I really highly suggest it to anybody because it's not your typical, downward dog yoga. It's more of like a breathing and meditation, and it just grounds you, I think.
Yeah. How often do you reckon you should do that? Like every day? Is it?
We used to just do it once a week for the yoga, but I meditate every morning.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've got to stop that now. I've been inconsistent. I've got to get back to doing it again. I find my meditation in different. Like I interviewed a Buddhist monk one time. His name, Malcolm Huxter, and
it wasn't quite interesting.
Yeah, that were really interesting.
That was interesting, and he said the same thing. Like, because I said I'm struggling with meditation now because I told him about the whole stories of things. I think that was around the time I was writing the book, and he turns around to me because I said, like, I sometimes find it hard, like challenging to sit down and just do 20 minutes of meditation like the same way. And he goes, this is what I tell 6-year-old children. I go and do, to primary schools because he's a clinical psychologist now. He's not a Buddhist monk anymore. And he said, what do you enjoy? He goes to the kids, the first question he says to them, what do you enjoy doing? And the kids go, I enjoy, basketball. Another kid goes, I love surfing. Another kid's like, I love swimming. Another kid's like, I love running. And he turns around to him and says, that's meditation. Any form of where you're feeling like you're at that enjoyment process, it doesn't have to be sitting down. You can find meditation through movement and exercise as well. It's like the yin yoga. So I stopped doing the sitting down. I think there's benefit to the sitting down meditation as well. I think it's more about listening to my body at that particular time and seeing what it needs. Like I have a sedentary job now, so I think that's probably why I've been not meditating sitting down as much because I'm sitting down driving all the time. So I've been finding my meditation through swimming randomly. Like I've been same process comes up, but it comes up for different ways. Like you're a shit swimmer, everyone's looking at you. Swim faster. And then you just start to, like, after a while, after about 10 minutes of swimming, just like, I'm just in the flow, just enjoying the whole process again. So it's similar sort of benefits. And I'm finding that, because the reason why I started swimming, because I went and did this OzTag World Cup recently, and I try to kick it with the young guys. I can't believe I'm the old guy now. How quickly did that turn around? 31, everyone's 20 years old. They'll call me daddy on tour. They'll call me papa. The Italians. Papa, come here. And I went up there with an ankle injury, and they said to me, man, you're getting old, like with your ankle injury. And I'm like, I'm just going to take painkillers now and just not tell anyone. And then third game in, I stepped off my right foot. And then I had 4 more games to go, and I felt like a little twinge in my inner thigh. And then I didn't say anything to anyone because everyone was picking on me for being an old man. So I just kept playing the next 4 games. Played the quarterfinal against New Zealand with this pain in my leg. Come back, see a physio, grade 2 tear in my adductor, grade 2 tear on my hamstring. Can't run for 12 weeks. I'm like, far out. All because I didn't want to be called a weak or papa, daddy, or old man. So I started swimming. Just for the last few weeks, I found that that's been so much beneficial. Just getting out of the gym, getting out of my own head, doing something completely different. I find my meditation in that now a little bit differently. So
I think that's a secret only, and I think that what works for me, what works for Rihanna, what works for you. There's no formula for it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's part and parcel of the discovery of the journey is finding out what works for you, and and whatever that is, it's fine. The big secret to finding that out is your consistency.
Yeah, definitely.
And how often it is that you're actually going to dedicate this personal time to yourself for your own personal development. That's the big one.
Yeah.
And I believe that if everybody did that, I don't think we'd be seeing the amount of drama that we have every day, every week. I'm looking for good news stories. I don't see a lot. I see a lot of crime. I see a lot of violence. I see a lot of horrible things taking place out there.
That's how they make money, though. Media make money from negativity. They know that we're attracted to negativity more than a positive. If we saw a story about a cat being saved out of a tree, we were like, oh yeah, cat being saved. see someone getting their head chopped off, like, fuck, someone got their head chopped off. Like, we're going to be gravitating towards that for some reason. I don't know if it's in the
I don't
humans.
know. I've stopped actually watching all that.
Yeah,
crap.
same.
I have. I've stopped it.
Yeah.
I did so for a reason, because, it wasn't benefiting me in any way.
Yeah.
And most importantly, you know what it was doing? It was actually making me depressed.
Yeah.
And I don't. There's other ways I can influence, my life and the world without having to watch that crap. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
That's why I'm not on social media either.
Yeah, social media is a big one.
I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on those two things for a reason, because I don't really care what you're having for dinner.
Yeah.
I don't really care what it is you're up to.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know what I mean? I've seen the exact opposite of how that works. And you know what? If it's not beneficial to you, then why put yourself through it?
Exactly right.
It depends on what everybody is after.
Yeah.
I'm 53 years of age, so I'm looking for something totally different to what, say, a 23-year-old would be after all. I get that, but that's not helping me out. You know what I mean? Like, that's not those sorts of things are I'm better off focusing my own energy on who I am and what it is that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking for peace. I'm looking for peace, I'm looking for tranquility, and I'm looking for something that's going to be far more long-term sustainable that I can control. Yeah. I'm not focused on someone else giving me that long-term sustainability to make myself feel good. It's about me, making myself feel good. Me, by my actions and what I do, making myself in a good, balanced, level way, being able to be a solid contributor to my community. Yeah. That's why I'm here today.
100%.
Because of you. Because that's what I've known you've done time and time and time and time again, giving yourself freely to others. And this is an example that the example that you shown, the humble hero, that's not happening enough, unfortunately. And that's where I see there's a big niche market at the moment, is giving of yourself freely, readily, without expecting anything in return. Yeah. I've done that for 35 years, by the way. With my coaching, with my actions. And so, I'm ready for the next level, in relationship to discovering who it is that John Dowall really is. That's the big one. I want to know who John Dowall really, really is. And the reason why I don't know that wholeheartedly is because I haven't devoted that time and energy to my own soul to be able to actually truly define what that person is. And so I'm on that journey of discovery at the moment. Yeah. And I think that will help others,
I reckon he's got to read the Shambhala principles. I'm going to do something just quickly, and it might sound like a lack of professionalism here.
Loving it.
But it's on... Huh?
Hit her with it, brother.
Wait, what?
No, I don't know what he was talking about. No, the camera's gone low battery. I don't want it's gone low battery on this side. I don't know what's happened. It's drained. I want to just change that camera over to you guys. I want to be on you guys, not me.
Yeah, yes.
I've got a face for radio. That's what I've been told. So you keep talking for just talk amongst yourself 10 seconds.
You're all right.
While we're on Facebook Live, we're just doing a production thing here.
Yeah, beautiful.
How good's that?
By the way, for all those that are listening, you don't want if you didn't truly realise how good a rugby player Liam was. Well, I'll tell you what, you didn't watch him play. He was dynamite.
There you go.
We won more games with him on the field than what we did without him. That's for sure.
That's it. It was more of the tenacity thing than anything. I knew that, but I think that. My skill didn't come in talent. My talent came in the tenacity to just keep the resilience just to keep going. Does that make sense?
Of course it does. Yes.
I've worked that out. I've worked out my talent. I was never good. I was never as fast or as strong as other people there, but I had to work something out.
Of course.
But that's the same with everyone. That's what I want to share consistently with people, that no, I didn't make NRL, but and I beat myself up about it for many years, and this is what I want to stress to young footy players out there. It's like what we talked about before. It's about enjoying the process, but it's about the people who you meet along the way, and that's what the Humble Hero is about. The friendships that I've built, like with you two, I can't. I'll give my fucking left arm to have that again because the support base that I've always had around me and the friendships. Like having Shawnee catch up randomly at Brekkie when people ask him for his autograph and I'm sitting there with him. Him coming out after he broke his jaw and then helped us do the PR for the world record.
Yeah.
Got 454 people to a boxing world record. No one's fucking done that before, ever.
Yeah.
So do you think that I'm dirty now at the fact that I didn't make that? No fucking way,
I don't
man.
think so.
You've never trained like back then. I would have, and that's what I want to stress to footy players. Like, just because if you don't make it doesn't mean you're a failure.
No,
It just means you got to find your own path.
Yeah.
Does that make? I know it sounds a bit cheesy to say, but you got to find a different path and realize that, like Jimmy Tarmo, Sean Kenny-Dow, Mitchell Pearce, like Shawnee when they lost to South, Shawnee brought us upstairs, me and Kingy, and partied with all those guys like all night, and then we're hanging out with guys like Fitzgibbon, and all those guys. Even Freddie Fittler now. I walk past Freddie, and he's doing like Channel 9. And I was at a footy game last year. He's like, Liam Zolo, how are you? And my friends are turning around like, how the fuck do you know Freddie Fittler? I'm like, I can't believe you remember my name. Shit. Like, but you know what I mean? That's the important part of it. The fact that not people know you, but the friendships that you build along the way and the relationships that you build are more important than just making the NRL or just making a goal that didn't succeed.
100%. That's all part of the journey.
Mm.
I've noticed that. And I've said to multiple players as well. And the team that I coached before we moved to Australia here in 2004. We had Quade Cooper, we had Stevie Rapida, we had Isaac John and Sean. All those boys went on to become professional athletes. But the one defining factor that they all had was that they just had a desire to be successful, and they let their actions do the talking.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've lost count of the amount of guys that have come up and said, I'm going to play NRL this time, I'm going to play that, I'm going to do this. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, okay, it's really nice to verbalise it. But you know what? You've lost the primary art of what it takes to get there, and that is keep your mouth shut and let your actions do the talking. And there's reasons why you can or you can't, but the major number one to me is that, in anything that I've ever done on a sporting field, do you know what? My desire's been there, and do you know what? I've turned over every stone along the way, so that exactly what you said is that I don't have any doubt, I don't have any regrets about the choices that I made, because I turned over every stone and made every sacrifice that I had to put myself into a situation to be successful. There's a big difference between doing that and verbalizing that you're going to do that.
Yeah.
That's the big one. That's the big one for me.
Another quote, we're doing quotes. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it.
Exactly.
And that's the mentality, isn't it, really? Like, people tell everyone what they're going to do, which is not a bad thing, but then simultaneously they've already talked about it where they think that they haven't put the work in behind the scenes. You'd rather show people, like what you always say to little sis and Shawnee, that you just got to continuously shut your mouth and just let the actions do the talking.
I think in 10 years of doing international athletics, I got tested over 40 times because they thought I was a drug cheat.
Oh, really?
And so I'd be in the middle of nowhere, and I'd be coming off a field after an event, and I'd look over and I'd see the same aside of people, making an approach towards me, and I thought, surely it's not going to be me again, and suddenly they'd grab me and go, we're so-and-so, they did their blurb, and towards the end, I sort of, thought to myself, okay, well, I had nothing to hide, so, I wasn't, I was never using drugs of any shape or form to increase my performance. And so, I used to see them coming, and then in the end, I used to go, oh, man, I'm so glad to see you. I'm just busting for a passage. I said, I'm going to set a world record here for, the quickest drug test you've ever had. Open up the cups and get them ready. I've got my 2 samples ready to roll.
I was the opposite. I got tested for the first time when I was playing for Cabramatta 2 Blues, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm getting tested. Like, test me. That means I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. This old guy was standing over me while I'm pissing. I'm like, I can't do this when you're watching me, dude. Took me an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I was in the sheds by myself with this old man. He was watching me pee. I'm like, I can't do this, man.
Yeah.
You're watching me pee. You must. I have to have these awkward conversations. I'm like, so do you love your job, mate?
Yeah.
He's like, I love this job. I'm like, fuck. What do you love about it? Watch guys piss.
Yeah, no, well, the same that guy, that I said that to that day. I never threw the look on his face. He was going,
"Oh, what's
going on?"
this
guy? Come on, mate, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Because I realised that there was a reason why that was taking place, and that is that the gains that I was making with my performance were so far ahead of everybody else. That their thought process at the time was, this guy must be cheating. But what they didn't realise is that, I was working 10 times harder than anybody else. And while they were still snuggled up in there, cuddling their little teddy bears, I was out there busting my ass.
Yeah.
And I was busting my ass in the morning, I was busting my ass at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then holding down a full-time job to support my family during the day. And so they were all primary motivators for my success.
Yeah.
And that wasn't by accident. I chose that, Now, the only regret I have out of it is that, I never really got my balance right. I never got my work-life family balance right. I was heavily loaded in work and heavily loaded in training. And so, there was an element of, of my not being around the home a lot that, I didn't give back enough to my family. So, I didn't have the balance sorted out, but I'm learning that more and more and more. Not to say heavily lay yourself on one side of your life and not try and get equalness right across.
Yeah.
All the different areas that you need to, which helps you out in the long run.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot out of those things. I took a lot out of that going into the into my last event. When I realised still that they were still trying to get me from there. Thinking that I was still a drug cheat, and realising that even after 10 years later, they still hadn't worked out the recipe to be successful, and that was you got to work harder than everybody else, and be smarter than everybody else. And so I worked that one out pretty quick.
So how do you become smarter than ever? Is that a natural thing, do you reckon, or do you reckon that's just experience?
It's experience, and in that environment, I still got my training diaries. And so on one day I'd go out and go, wow, I'd be absolutely killing it on this day. And then I'd have what I had for breakfast, what the weather was like, how I trained, I had this dossier of information. And so once I'd filtered all that information through, then I suddenly came up with what I thought was a correct recipe that suited John and Dowell, not what suited everybody else. And then once I started tweaking that more and more, I started to get up with this recipe that was massive for me. And so that's how it worked.
So you had to write down everything.
Well, I did on that.
Weather, because of javelin, of course. Is that for javelin? But you're, how do you say it? The quintathlete?
Decathlete.
Decathlete, sorry.
Yeah. So I realised that, that earlier in the day, that was where it was going to be at.
Even for your running, like you chose to write down the weather for the running day. Like, would wind play a factor in when you're running as well?
It was like this, Liam. We'd go down to the local track, and then my coach and I, and cyclonic conditions, by the way. We had this 100-kilometre-an-hour wind coming down the field, and I looked over into the tunnel and saw the middle distance runners all huddled under the sheds, freezing their nuts off, thinking. And I looked to myself, well, that's why you're not out there, mate. Because you're not actually out there running. You're actually out. You're sheltering in your little shorts, freezing your nuts off because you're not doing anything. And they just looked at us, walked straight past and walked straight out into the discus circle, and I was throwing these discuses into the wind, and they were going out, and then they were jettisoning all the way back over the cage and landing behind me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my coach turned around to me, and I looked at her and I went, wow, this is heavy out here. And she turned around to me and said, this is what it takes. I said, look at them. And I looked over, and there's like a dozen runners all sitting over there. They didn't even hit the track. Yeah. And I realised, no, this is it right here. And so that went down on my training diary. Train no matter what. No matter what. And so that's how I started to build those little pieces of that jigsaw puzzle,
So is that what hard work looks like? Because that was my next question.
It does.
Hard work is just always showing up.
Always showing up. Lee.
Doesn't matter what happens, what situation.
No excuses. You can go the previous night and put 20 beers in your gut.
Yeah.
But don't give me an excuse the next morning for not turning up to training.
Yeah.
You made that choice, and if you want to be this, then you know what? You've got to suck it up, princess. And you've got to grow up here. Well, can I say that, Len?
You can say, I've sworn here.
Is it PC correct to say that you've got to grow up here? I think it is. Yeah, grow up here.
Grow up here.
Yeah, and get out there no matter what. Because, you know, that's what it takes. You know, that's what it takes. You know, I've tried to tell so many people that, you know, that experience and impart that knowledge onto them. And you know what? This is you know, what I'm telling you right now is transparent to every facet of your life, whether you're an athlete or not. Every facet. It transforms itself into business. It transforms itself into multiple other layers and areas of your life. And because, you know, that's the discipline part of it. That's what it takes. Yeah. If you want to be, you know, an entrepreneur, then you know what? You've got to have the discipline to take the knockbacks, you know? You've got to jump back on that horse again and be prepared to take rejection time and time again. Because, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, it's only one person's opinion. And only one person's opinion does not matter. You know, because a good friend of mine said to me, a guy from Denmark, goes, do you know what, John? Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. And I thought to myself, yes, you're dead right. But you don't have to necessarily agree with that opinion. It's because everybody's got one. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Exactly right. And so even Sean had that. He had setback after setback after setback. And I said, and one of them actually said to me, you know, he said, you know what, Michael Jordan never made the first draft either. And I went, yeah, great. F off, mate. That's what I felt like saying. You know? Because I said that in my mind. But that, you know, that just drove us harder. Yeah. Just so, you know, and that's the key. You've got to be able to settle yourself up again, get on the horse and start galloping again. Yeah. You know? It's a big one. Yeah. You know. And you're doing that with your real estate now then? You translating that hard work? Are you doing it here? Yeah. You doing it? You got a job in Sydney? Or are you doing your own business?
It's a different route, but it is still within the real estate industry. I think from my previous experiences, and watching Dad and Sean and, you know, my mum and my sister, and, you know, I think what Dad was saying before, where he didn't find the balance to, you know, work and family, I think what you know, had been doing within your own personal career and your own journey was giving us, you know, that and showing us the hard work ethic, and I think that was enough, you know. And I think, you know, with my mum as well, you know, they just work so hard, and so going back to Dad is you just gotta what was it?
Grow up here?
Yeah. Just grow up here.
Grow up here.
And like the same thing with the opinions and the, you know, assholes and all of that. Yeah. You know, everything is translatable through any industry that you're in. And I found it's all about networks, and it's all about work ethic, you know. And I think a big thing within the real estate industry is you can work, one of my mentors had taught me, you can work really hard your whole life and stay in one spot. And so for us in the, you know, business industry, it's smart work as opposed to hard. I mean, it's always hard work because you've got to work hard to work smart. But yeah, for us, it's more smart work than anything, and that's working your networks, and that's, you know, making the connections. But above all, watching my family do what they've done and always have done, which is just work incredibly hard and enjoy it, set a really good platform for me to be able to do what I do now. And what I've done, you know, in such a short period of time, I think was a direct result of your hard and smart work, but, you know, what they taught me without even knowing, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's good though to realise that, because my dad and mum were quite the same, and they just worked their ass off. But then that translates into how I am now, you know. And like Dad, I saw Dad. You'd leave for work at 5 a.m. and then come home at 4:30 in the afternoon, and then come to the footy field with me, just one-on-one, and just do, like when I'm talking before I met you guys, just do one-on-one training with me. I'm like, no one needs to do that shit. Like now, some people would be just sitting at home watching Netflix. They wouldn't go out and teach their son that. Like,
my dad was the same, very much the same with Sean when we were still living back home in New Zealand. We were living in this small town called Topiti, and for example, just to show you how small it was, the primary school I went to only had like 80 people.
Oh, wow.
In the whole school. And so Dad, it was about an hour and a half to Auckland from there. He used to work in Auckland, so that meant for him to get up at 5 or 4 to be at work by 7:30 and then do his work all through Auckland and then drive back an hour and a half and then take Sean out to the footy field, go to the footy fields and train a pack of, hoary as dudes.
Mongrels,
yeah.
Good mongrels, mate.
Again, coming back to that's hard work ethic, man. Like, how can you not take that and transfer it into anything I do? And same with my sister. She's doing really well too. And I think that's just, Dad was, the tough love kind of, and I genuinely wouldn't have it any other way.
But back then when he was doing it, would you have, like, you were like, oh, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Asshole.
No.
But now you're like,
of course not.
No, you just swear at me under your breath, eh?
Which never proves, a good thing. But, that was, I guess, a preparation for us into the real world. Because it's tough out there, man. People are ruthless in the real estate industry.
Yeah, they are.
And I think if I hadn't had the upbringing that I had in this small town where, kids are running around bare feet and, footy and games, and I don't know if, I would have survived as long as I have. Because it's, even not even just in real estate, but in general, like, especially even with Sean in the industry that he's in, far out. You've got to have tough skin for that.
Yeah.
It's a tough industry. I guess a lot of people do see, they see all the accolades, by the way. And, they see the magnificent things.
They see the intercept try against West Tigers to make the grand final.
I'll never forget that.
The most fantastic game I've ever seen in my whole life, to be honest. But, I think the most important, and I understand the fan aspect of it too, by the way, them I do. But you know what? There's a time and a place, for that to take place, and they've got individual responsibilities. But, there's a level of understanding there about, like in 2007, when I watched him play his very first game, I was a bundle of nerves.
So was I.
I was sitting there, I actually thought I might have to take a spare pair of underpants to that game. I was so nervous, And then I looked across at some other parents who were sitting with her sons were making their debuts as well, and they were the same way. Like they were so nervous about their children being in that environment. And so you ride the highs and and you ride the lows, and and you just accept what is. But the number one thing that I get out of this, and the one thing that I will get out of it, the magnificent opportunities that have been created, is that they're just human beings. They're normal human beings like you and I. The only difference is they get paid for what they do, and they're in a fishbowl that they cannot escape. And you know what? That means that the average everyday thing that you and I might do, they will get hauled over the coals for.
Yeah.
And that's the only other thing that that I've had difficulty accepting, and that is that for some of the things that not just Sean but a lot of the others as well, they've done things that the average normal human being does every single day, and then they get slaughtered on social media for it. And to me, that's the downfall. That's the downfall. And so the average person out there, I tell you what, when you put yourself in our situation, where Sean's had multiple incidents. Some have been good. Some have, some have been a direct result of the own choices that he's made. I get that, but at the end of the day, they're just normal human beings. You know, and the only difference is that they're in a bubble, and they're scrutinised in every facet of his life. But what they don't understand is that, I can remember, the amount of injuries that these boys actually play through. It's chronic. I mean, it's chronic. And the only injury that ever kept me out of sport was I had a cracked sternum, right? Playing rugby league, and Sean got a cracked sternum, but it had a 5 mil degree of separation.
Wow!
So it was severed right through, and I watched that kid play rugby league for 16 weeks in a row.
Shit!
And as he was getting needled to play, every week. And the one thing that got me was that how much he was getting slaughtered on social media because, he wasn't putting his shoulder into the tackle. But what they didn't realise is that night I was lying in the room next door because we were living together at the time. And I was listening to this kid just in severe agony every single night for 16 weeks in a row while these wankers were on social media pumping them about something that they knew absolutely nothing about. And I thought to myself, no, that's the price you pay for being in the fishbowl.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And that was just one example, just one example of that situation and scenario.
Yeah.
And so, while it's a magnificent, fantastic thing, and you ride the highs and you ride the lows, that's one of the main reasons why I turned off social media. Because, I just got sick of listening to people who have no understanding of the game, no idea what it takes, when their children are in the heat of battle every single week, and what right do they actually have to give their bullshit opinion because they knew nothing about it. And, they didn't have a child that was in there, they didn't know the ups and downs of what was going on behind the scenes. And so, at the end of the day, I just thought to myself, no, I don't need to read that anymore. I don't need to, be influenced by that. And most importantly, I don't want to hear somebody, whose opinion means nothing to me, actually slaughtering the crap out of one of my own children.
Man, if
Didn't like it.
If you dig deep into those people's lives, you're going to find the same shit.
Well, their shit stinks, just like everybody else.
Yeah, everyone's shit stinks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you tell them, Dad.
Tell them.
Oh, sorry, we haven't got to go over the top there. Oh, let me uppercut myself, it's all right.
Don't mess with it. That's why he doesn't mess with you. Taekwondo doing this over here. Black belt.
She's really giving me a good kick in the nuts, I think. Aren't you?
Patience is a virtue.
Oh, don't worry, Liam. I'll get him on the boxing pad later on, mate.
That's
I'll give
it.
it to her. Give her a
That's
little
it.
jab. She'll be right.
But she's always been like that's what I love about it. Ever since she was been young, she just always had that same personality. Like, I'm not taking any of your shit.
No.
Like, even how old are you now?
23.
23. So you would have been
Like
nine or 10. Yeah. I would have been what 17.
16, 17.
And like we were all scared of you. Rory, Cunningham, we were all like, gee, fucking hell, she's.
Do you remember when she used to be a little ball girl?
Yeah, ball girl.
We used to travel over to when they play the Balmain con. Remember we were playing the Balmain
con? Yeah.
It was so
And
much fun.
old Nani's rolling down there in their Crocs gear, getting all our balls. And
Yeah.
I even had the footy boots as well. I was all in.
Hey, I want you to know I've still got those boots.
No, you don't.
They're in the garage.
Get him out.
I thought about it actually.
Why not?
She's thinking about playing rugby league.
Go!
We're so much fun.
Yeah.
I have the best mentor you could possibly.
I know.
Like, just at my disposal. I thought it would be fun. I think it would be
fun.
fun.
Well, you handled
Don't
the
put
shoulder
any-
the other day.
No attachment to it. Just go out and have a play
Fun.
footy. Yeah.
I think it should be tailor-made for it, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Mind you, she didn't handle the shoulder I gave you the other day, and then I dropped it on the bed, mate?
Did ya?
But he blindsided me.
Oh, did he? Oh, really?
Just
We
a
did
little-
cop a blind side though. When
a
you see
little-
it coming, it'll be
Yeah.
easy.
Just a little tiny love tap.
Just
there,
to
that's
let her
all.
know who. Just to let her know. Don't mess with Dad.
Yeah. Well, I get that not long after that because I didn't want her to give me a kick. but-
Yeah. Shoulder charging around.
We still have a lot of fun in our house, of Liam. So,
Yeah.
But those are some of the little insights that where not people know about,
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes, but you just got to be thick-skinned and and don't let it get to you too much, eh?
Yeah. It's good to see when, as you get older, your parents start becoming your friends in that way. Like my parents now, like I just have that bit of banter, but then I'll never overstep the boundary. Like it's still my parents, but I still have that fun and bit of banter with them. It's kind of endearing to have that relationship as you get older.
Yeah,
maybe because it's a young parent as well. Like your dad's 53, my parents are 56 or something, and my parents got a 36-year-old son.
Yeah.
They were 18 when I had my brother, 17 or something like that. So it's just good to see that families, when that's why I semi want to have kids when I'm young, not as much when I'm older, because then you don't have that, I guess, that time to go play or be out in the park as much.
No,
might not have the energy as much. I don't know.
No, well, you might have to start, looking at that in the future, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly right.
Starting to pump out the first couple of children, mate. It'd be happy days, won't
Mate,
it?
just stop being careful, pumping them out. Be careful what he says around me, because everything he says around me comes true. So that's the last thing I want to go through with you.
She'll be beautiful, by the way, bro.
What's that?
Child.
I know, but then he said that already. He said that already to Emily. Baby making machine. The first time he met Emily, he didn't even say, I go, this is Emily, this is John. I've talked about the family that many times. I've even talked about you in front of Emily and that. So she's heard a lot about you guys, but then she met John. And then he went up to her and he goes, she's a baby making machine, bro. And walked off, and she's like, what? She's like 23. She's like your age at the time, so because she's only young.
No, because I used to smell with my sisters. I used to actually used to smell when they were pregnant before even they did.
Oh wow!
Because I could smell baby powder. You know that Johnson's baby powder.
Yeah.
And I smelled it on her that day. There you go.
A couple we got a puppy like dead set like 4 or 5 months later. So little Australian Shepherd.
Oh, nice.
So she's a year old.
Yeah.
But look, the last thing I was going to say is the last story is that whatever we talked about this on the way up. You read my cards.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask you about the card situation before we wrap up.
Right. Yeah.
Before I go into the card reading, he did my cards, and we talked about this. He predicted. He gave me 3 out of 4 chakras. Am I allowed to share the card situation?
Yeah.
3 or 4 chakras, which is pretty hard to get. I can't remember how many it was because you got to tell me that it was like a heart, head,
throat.
Yeah. So using the voice, I think that's what you said to me.
Yeah.
You said you're going to change your career. You're going to have a partner. Because I was single back then. Your life's going to dramatically change in a good way, and that's what I think it was like a year later. I moved up to Yamba, had Emily as a partner. I was a roofer. I amputated my finger for 3 hours, but now I'm out of the space. I'm out of the fitness world now.
Yeah.
So it did, because I think what people do before I ask you this question, people think, oh, you read your cards and it's so generalized that it's just like, yeah, that's going to happen. But it's not really without saying things that actually happen in detail. But what you said to me that day actually happened in detail, and it's actually come true.
Yes.
In that format. So
I'll tell you what, Linda, I've done. I got into the tarot cards because I was in the very early stages of my spiritual development. Still trying to understand what it was that my gift is. Yeah, I'm still working that one out. The one thing I do know is that I'm incredibly intuitive, and I found that my intuition has gotten a heck of a lot more stronger as I have done more and more development into it. I've been to several spiritual retreats where I've mixed and mingled with very like-minded people like myself, and we've shared information with each other about everybody's journey is totally different. I use the tarot cards because they used to help me center myself. Yeah, and I'd have all these very, very wild, vivid dreams at night. I had my third eye opening up. Like this stuff's hardly ever really talked about now, because you know what? Not many people. There's a more trend to people becoming more awakened now. Yeah, it's becoming more acceptable now. Because it's not locked away behind closed doors anymore. The real truth of the matter is, this year alone, I have done probably 10 readings. Every single reading's come true. Every single reading's come true. Now, the reason for that is because, you know what, I never do them to say, well, you should do X, Y, Z. This is not for you to do X, Y, Z. This is to give you a guideline about where you are right now, and now the choices and decisions you make along with that information is entirely up to you. You know, this is not me saying, well, you know, your future is this, you should do that, or you should do this. This is about you putting all the information into one area and you making your choices and decisions in relationship to what you could visualize your outcomes to be. But be mindful of these things here, because these things here are the ones that are going to tip you over. These things here are the ones that are going to be your obstacles. These things here are going to stop you from reaching and attaining your dreams and goals. And 9 out of 10 times, you know what, they don't listen to those words of advice, and they just off and do their own things, and then suddenly the world caves in around them. You know, wonder why? Because, well, you know, it's caved in around you because, you know what, you haven't been listening. And you know what, and that takes time, especially when you're younger and still beginning your pathway of spiritual awakening. I'm still beginning my pathway too, you know, but you know what, I understand the value and importance of you know, practicing those things with a daily ritual and committing that time to my own self. And so, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is that, you know, the things I told you that day, you know, I don't remember what they were. Well, I don't remember what I said to you because I tuned in there and I channeled into you. And I gave you something that I thought would help you in the future. Right? It's really nice to see that those things have unfolded for you. And, you know, they've unfolded for you for one or two reasons, not because of what I told you, but they unfolded because, you know, you actually wanted to be the architect of your own outcome. You know what I mean? But those things were in the back of your mind. And you were thinking about those things, but they weren't playing a major precursor into what your choice and decision really was. And so, you know, I've sort of gone on that approach now as well. I think that gift of mine is strengthened dramatically, like you wouldn't believe. You know, but I don't do that to reading for anybody. I don't have a desire to, you know, do that as a living. I have a desire to do that to help people out more than anything else, but, you know, most importantly to help myself. You know, this is where it's at. You know, there's two things I've learned out of this so far, and these are two things that I haven't done regularly my whole life, and that is that, you know, when you learn the art of love and when you learn the art of forgiveness, then you're starting to get a picture about what true spirituality really is, because love is multiple different levels, you know, for everyone. And forgiveness is multiple levels. I've still got situations and scenarios in my life that I won't forgive yet. And so, you know, well, it's great for me to sit here and talk to you about all these magnificent things about my spirituality. I'm still a work in progress too, just like everybody else is. But the big difference to it is that, you know what, I would have 3 out of 7 days prior would be great days for me. At the moment, 5 out of 7 days are getting to be great days as the result of my investment into my time and my energy, and, you know, keeping that up. And so, you know, I've still got 2 days in my life per week, you know, where something goes wrong and I've got a bad thought process, but I've got to go get into the garage and get onto the bag and, you know, get it out of my system. So, you know, I'm still learning that. You know, I'm still learning the art of that. Right? And I think that, you know, I don't have a preconceived plan or idea about where I'm heading with that. But, you know, I'm leaning way towards helping people with disabilities, which I've done in the past. I have an affinity with people with disabilities, and I have an affinity with people with intellectual disabilities, because I was classified as that as well. And sometimes they need a strong voice to stand up for them. And, you know, they're going to, you know, and I'm a classic, you know, situation scenario where, you know, I can help people in that regard. So, you know, I'm leaning towards that. You know, I should put
you in contact with Marina Pasalaris, her name is. She owns a company called Beautiful Minds, and I've been doing a bit of work with her. She does these retreats or just day workshops and she brings in people from different backgrounds. And I always used to do the fitness component for it.
Lovely.
And I think they need to hear a voice from someone like yourself, because they get bullied and stuff like that, like 8, 9, 10-year-olds. That might be getting bullied or they just might not be seeing that they have potential to be great, and they might suffer from anxiety or depression or whatever it may be, or some form of it's not as much intellectual disability though, so I don't know if you'll be still willing to do it, but I'll ask her. I think she'll be having you in there for sure.
Oh, I'd love to go on that in that forum and vicinity, Lima. I've done a lot of that work in that area. I'm a champion for it, because when I lost my leg at 4 years of age, I didn't understand the dynamic of what was going to happen in the next 10 or 15 years. And you know what, the dynamic back in 1969 was blooming hardcore, because there wasn't a lot of inclusiveness. There wasn't a lot of inclusiveness in the school programs. There wasn't a lot of inclusiveness in community-based programs. There was a lot of bullying. There's a lot of picking on. My leg used to get hit on a regular basis. I couldn't participate in any spiritual anything of a spiritual nature, but I couldn't participate in something as simple as school sport. It used to kill me inside. Because I used to, I was so much better than all of them. I just had this natural ability, and sport was my greatest love, and I couldn't participate in it. And so, once you've been told after, 10, 12 years, oh, no, I'm sorry, no, you can't do that. You're a danger to everybody else. I tell you what, it sorts the men out from the boys in the long run. But you know what, you've got to take away and keep learning your processes from that. And so, once I actually did get involved in sport, I just went, and took off. And that's the reason why I took off, because, I was, compressed for so long. And so, for me right now, it's like, wow, I've just had a work-related accident too in March, and, with my good knee, and that's gone. And so, my trade of 35 years is gone. I've been told I cannot play sport again for the rest of my life, because I need a total knee replacement eventually. And so suddenly I'm having a good look back and having a good review of my life, like we all do. And suddenly seeing these massive little obstacles that I have to continue to keep jumping over like this. And keep jumping over and keep jumping over. It's easy to say, nah, I'm going to head off in the opposite direction, see you all later. It's too easy to quit. But that news that I received a few months ago, you can't go back to your trade, you can't play sport anymore, you're looking at a total knee replacement in anything between now and the next 10 years. I tell you what, after you've already had multiple obstacles, and then suddenly you get another one, then I tell you what, it really sorts out who you are. And now I've done the toughest part of the whole thing, which is accept that, I cannot play competitive sport anymore, sociable sport anymore, but you know what, I can still box, I can still get into the gym, I can still physically feel great, I can still do all those other things for myself that I need to do. It's not the end of the world. It's the adjustment of your attitude towards those obstacles that I believe is the greatest precursor to all your outcomes. And an adjustment of your mind thought process to it. And I think that's the one thing I wanted to get across on this wonderful podcast of yours today. That the worst case scenario news in the world is not the end of things. If you still have a solid drive and a determination to make the most of what it is that you've got. Because a good friend of mine said, you may not get everything that you want, but the universe will always provide for you what you need.
Yeah, wow.
And I thought to myself, yes, you're dead right. That's exactly what's happened to me. I might not receive everything that I want, but you know what? When I've actually stepped out of my comfort zone and had a good look, I've got everything I need. And none of it's money.
Never.
No, none of it's money. They think that money's going to make you happy. Money is not going to create you happiness.
Nope.
You're going to have to look back one day in your life, and you're going to realise that it's that beautiful rose that's in your garden. It's it's that beautiful drawing that little kid drew for you. It's that beautiful message that you received. I think this is the big difference. You suddenly we're in a scenario where we think that possession is everything that you've got, the nice house, the nice car, whatever it might be. Well, I tell you what, you know, with 35 years of going down to people's home and multi-million-dollar homes, you know what? I find that the exact opposite is true. I do. I find that the people that have got next to nothing are the happiest ones, and those that have got everything seem to be the miserable ones. And so, you know, to me, I'm sort of trying to work that one out. But you know, when you've had so many obstacles like I have, you know, there's a lot to say about your attitude towards life in general, and stop laying blame at the feet of everybody else. Because the universe will always work in a way that you don't understand. And so the greatest idea that you have is to try and, you know, work out how that affects and works for you. And that might not be, you know, you and I might be different. Nani and I are different too, you know. We've got different thought processes and actions, and so, you know, we're still trying to work those ones out like I am. You know, but, you know, I still love who I am. I still love what I've got, you know. I don't kick back worrying that there's been the odd day or two where I thought, oh, gee, I'd love to be in that. I'd love to be playing, you know, back row for that team, you know, in the NRL, because I know that I can make a difference if I had two legs, you know. I can make a difference.
You used to kick our ass with one leg.
You know, and I used to think of it like that, you know. Like I used to think of it back in Auckland. I'd look across and see this massive island team working out, and I could hear my teammates going, "Oh my God, we're in for a hard day at the office." And I thought, I just think to myself, man, I just can't wait to whack that dude. You know, so I understand. You know, the different dynamic of, you know, this situation, this scenario, and my attitude and what I verbalise towards that. So, you know, it's got me in a lot of trouble in the past. And so, you know, I'm trying hard just to find an equal balance there now. So I'm ready to give you another one too, by the way.
Yeah, go.
No, what? Another reading.
Oh, another reading. I thought you meant another story. Yeah, give me another reading, mate. I love that last one. That was awesome.
You have to come over for dinner one night.
Yeah, for sure.
Before Christmas.
Yeah. I'll do it for sure.
It'd be nice.
Get Emily over.
Love to see you.
Get her cards read.
But I smell baby powder, cousin.
Yeah. Oh God. It's scary. I just think that parenthood's scary. I don't know. It's good fear though.
It's a beautiful fear. You know, especially now when you know your kids are older. You know, like Rihanna's my youngest child. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm glad I had my kids young, eh?
Yeah.
You know, because you know they're older now. We have a good relationship, don't we? She's a bit cheeky once in a while, but you know.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's always cheeky.
Nothing about an accidental miss on the old boxing pads one day won't fix out. You know, she gets a sneaky little jab, Liam. You know.
She's just got that look about her though. You can tell, like, oh, don't worry, Dad. I'll kick you in the nuts.
Her nickname's Bulldog for a reason. She about said that. I can't believe
you said that. Bulldog, eh?
Oh, jeez.
Bulldog.
No comment.
No comment? No, one last thing I want to share. You talked about forgiveness, and this is what I'm trying to work on now as well myself. And, you know, I'm going to say his name on air. You know Frankie Winterstein?
I do.
So when I used to train I used to go to the Roosters before I made it and ask like Jimmy Dimmick and the coach if I could just go and train and just to get better. I wasn't part of the squad back then. And I just want to go and train so I can just get better so I can be in the side. So Jimmy Dimmick would go, Liam, go have a run at hooker so you can get in there. And Frank would always get, when Jimmy would go off with the backs, would do like scrimmage. Frank would go stand on the sideline. We'll get someone else in as a hooker, and I'd like put my head down, and I'd always go have to stand on the wing. And I didn't forgive him for that. Like for when I was a young kid, for something like that. I'm like, I was just there to try and grow and learn.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, fuck you, you know, like that's heavy. But I'd go stand on the wing. I'd go do as they said, you know. Anyway, fast forward like 10 years later, he'd always say, go on the wing, and and I'd have to stand on the wing, and it's not, the wing is a bad position, it's just the fact that position for that particular drill would keep doing, it wasn't necessary. Like even Sean would be playing in the middle, for example. So But I'm a hooker. I'm playing on the wing. I'm just on the wing. So I'm like, at least I'm just got the training jersey. At least I'm just here, whatever. And then I'll try and match it with my fitness when it comes to fitness time. Fast forward 10 years later, or 9 years later, I'm in Wales playing for Italy. And I was playing for the resident side, and then there goes, the only chance of you making the Italian, because we're picking 6 residents. So I came in as a resident who can't speak Italian. So they found a loophole for me. The only way you can make it is you come in as a resident, but you got to play on the wing. I'm like, fucking hell, lucky Frankie Winterstein told me to play on the wing back then. But the story gets better. So we go to Wales, and then all the boys are saying to me, oh, we're going to meet up with this guy called Frank. He's playing for the Celtic Crusaders. And they all played footy with him. And I'm like, who's this Frank guy? I don't even know. Like, he's a Islander fella. I think he's Samoan. Meet up, it's Frank Winterstein. He's in Wales. And all those flooded memories of you, dickhead. Like, and he's like, hey, Liam, how are you? I'm like, why is he being so nice to me? He doesn't remember what he was doing to me as a kid. And then I was warming up, and then I was going out there. And then as I'm walking out to the field, I remember him sitting in the crowd. He was sitting in the crowd, came watch us that night, a rainy night, and it flooded back to me. I'm like, all those rainy nights of me standing on the wing, him telling me to go on the wing, now he's sitting in the crowd watching me play on the wing for my country. Do I discriminate? Do I hate that guy anymore? I'm like, no way. That guy got me to the position, even though back then he might have had his own stuff coming up or whatever it is, or just didn't believe because I was small and that, like he didn't believe I should have been in that team at that particular time. But I thank him for that, because he gave me the opportunity and the confidence to play on the wing for my country, and he was sitting there watching me. And he came up to me afterwards like, fuck, that's awesome. Like, we had a great time together. I'm like, that's why we have to have forgiveness. That's what you were saying before. That element of forgiveness is probably the very thing that propels you into some form of success in the future. Whether at the time was a negative, or you thought was a negative, it actually always turns out to be some positive in the long run, whether you get to see it or not. So I thank him every day in my life for giving me the opportunity to go stand on the wing, to learn a different craft, so I can play for the country 10 years later for him to watch that. So
I'll let you know right now, Liam, that if I ever got to a point where I was ever coaching in NRL, back in the day, mate, you would have been my first hooker. I would have signed you straight away.
Fuck yeah. Get him in the NRL.
100%. I would have.
No, that's what I appreciate. I've always believed in myself and as a person. So that's why I had to get him on. He's one of the 5 people, I reckon, as like father figures that I've always looked up to and always listened. So as you, Benny Gardner, obviously my dad is number 1. You, Benny Gardner, and my dad's top 3. And then you throw in Jimmy Pisanius, because he helped me get the position that I did to play for that country as well. But there's only about 3 to 5 people that I can name on my hand that was there. And then other people in my life like the Shawns and Jimmy Tamos and stuff like that even no matter what happens, no matter how big they got, they always seem to be around and be have that friendship. So
it's a beautiful thing, Liam. It really
grateful.
Is.
Just ongoing. And that's what we've got to learn. Just that fucking grateful attitude. Just because you don't get what you want, like what you said, just because you don't get what you want, didn't play NRL. And I know I'm going down this path because I know so many people who, they might fall into depression, or they might fall into deep anxiety because they've lost a purpose, because they don't make the highest level. There's another path.
Of course there is.
And that's all I'm trying to stress. Like, you find your way, go through your shit. I've been through my shit, but it always ends up like in a position where comes full circle in a positive way. Like the Pod Hub. I'm fucking interviewing.
This is fantastic.
Like, this is my favourite people. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity if I gave up on myself many, many years ago.
No.
And then I wouldn't have had this opportunity today. So,
and I think this is the most magnificent part to come out of it. Is that, your listeners, you know, whoever's listening right now, you know, they might not ever heard it from, you know, from you know, my perspective or our perspective on, you know, who we are and why you know, our outcomes have been the way they have been, you know, because no one really knows our story, you know. Only someone like yourself, you know, we've verbalised it on, you know, over a meal many times about who we are and what we represent, you know, and I think that, you know, this is a magnificent thing because, you know what, I don't expect everybody to agree with what I've said today, but you know, if they take away one thing, you know, that I've said today that might help them for the future, then, you know, this is all that you need, you know, to create one mindset, one change, one element of change.
Yeah.
And, you know, and to me, that's, you know, that's all that matters to me, you know. I take my hat off to you, man, you know, for this. Because this is a fantastic concept. You know, you can verbalise and get totally different points of a viewpoint and an opinion. And you know what, and it's a melting pot of information, you know, that's always there for people to look at. And surely that, you know, that's the number one step, you know, for change.
Yeah.
You know, because I wish I'd heard this. You know, I wish I'd heard this when I was younger. You know, I never had a male role model when I was younger. You know, and so, you know, I never got, you know, someone come around and go, oh no, come this way, mate. This is the way you got to go. Never had that. Never had that at all. And so, you know, like I sort of had to learn that along the way. And so listening to you rattle off those names, you know, Benny and Dad and whatnot, you know, I understand why that is, you know. You know, because those are the sort of people that, you know, help you, create change. And here we are here with this, you know, beautiful, you know pod hub. You know, I'm loving it. You know, look at it. It's magnificent. I always thought that you'd do something like this, you know. It's good, isn't it, Nani?
And you should be doing, now it's my turn to get something out of the back of your head. Do some motivational speaking.
Oh, thank you.
That's what he's got to do. He's got to get out of the, if you get out of the I don't know how if I'm saying this right, so glazier.
Oh, look, I try and put a bit more professional, mate. I'm a transparent wall technician.
Oh, that's awesome. Transparent wall technician.
Wow.
Wow.
Did you like that, Nani?
Yeah, that's a good one. But you've had to stop that for a reason, obviously, for a different purpose, and your purpose has got to be your voice now, and that's what I'm stressing.
Thank you, Liam.
Not wrong choice of word. Trying to get out there as much as possible. That's got to be your new career, where it's your own spiritual retreat or just talks to schools.
You know, I've thought about that quite a fair bit. You know, I've still got another 2 or 3 months worth of rehab to go yet, and so in the interim, you know, I'm still, you know, exploring down those tracks and avenues. You know, I do think that, you know, there's something there for me. I'm about to start writing my autobiography, by the way.
Yeah, go.
And so that comes from, you know, right back, you know, when I was a young fella, and you know, and sharing some magnificent experiences, you know, I've had. I was thinking about the other day, you know, I was actually a ball boy for the All Blacks. Can you believe it or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in 1977. And you know, I thought I was kicking back and thinking about the whole thing, going, "Wow, how lucky am I?" Yeah, this is the thing. I look back and I look at my life and go, "How lucky am I?"
Yeah,
you know, it's easy to look back at all that as negative things and say, "Oh man, how unlucky were I?" Nah, I've never even looked at it like that. I always look at it, how lucky am I? Yeah, and so, you know, you're right. You know, everything does happen for a reason. And so, no, I'm waiting for the next chapter to slowly, you know, emerge, and you'll be the first to know what that is. Yeah,
well, hopefully it doesn't take a amputated finger to get you to start writing a book like it did me. All I did was someone told me one thing, and I stuck with that, and it just said write 1,000 words a day, even if the 1,000 words is rubbish, just write. And then out at Emerge, you get 30,000 words. I didn't get quite 30,000 words in 30 days. I got 18,000. And I had a book writing coach, Alison Nancy. She's written 12 books. And she edited it for me to translate it into my tone and my own writing ability. And that's what I didn't know. Like, I tend to talk now, and I digress from the conversation, and then I always pull it back into what I was originally talking about. And that's how she wrote the book for me. I'm like, fuck, she's awesome. Like, she didn't write the book. I wrote it, but then she just got that out of me a lot more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe just a little bit of
Yeah.
fine tuning with your writing. You maybe have a fantastic book.
Oh yeah, no, I plan to do a writing course actually at some point.
Yeah.
But I think it's not for monetary gain.
Mm.
I would happily do it, as a learning tool for others more than anything else. And probably more about our own limiting thought processes and how they actually stop us from actually progressing with our day-to-day lives. And how negative influences can stop your progression. And so, probably along those lines, just like a life coach, learning from positive examples, more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate in this life to meet some magnificent people. They've all got a story to tell, and it's maybe the greatest gift we have is to listen.
Yeah.
I don't think I do enough of that. So my story is not everything, but I do love listening to others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in time, who knows what's around the corner?
Yeah.
Go step forward, and no pun intended. Step forward, with a positive frame of mind.
Yeah, awesome.
See what happens.
Yeah. Let's finish on that one then.
Mm.
Thank you so much for your time. Love you both. You're legends.
Thank you.
Had a little bit of a middle no battery moment there, but we solved that issue. We overcome that hurdle.
Yeah.
We've got the camera on you guys, and that's how it should have been.
Loving
Thank you.
brother. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Let's go do the handshake. Come on. There you go.
Guys,
Thank you so much. Love you both. Until next time.
Catch up, brother.